Well, hello everybody. I want to do this live. I got messages. I know a lot of people are all no, and conspiracies that I can't stand. And absolute baloney too. And I'm going to get into that. And so many of you fall into it. Canadians are super susceptible to absolute BS and baloney. A guy can put on a great publication on Rumble. Like, the worst is Rumble. People share stuff to me. This guy authored this guy authored that, this guy made a professional movie about all this crap. And it's crap. And we're going to get into all that crap. Right now, Scott Moe on the world stage totally made a fool out of the entirety of Canada. Every provincial delegation, absolutely the provincials or federal conservatives and liberals, who are the majority, their delegation, in fact, made an absolute a-hole out of all of them. And Canadians going on about, oh, nuclear, bad, dangerous. USA's got more than 300 nuclear facilities. Guess how many meltdowns the USA's ever had? 0. And you know what? Scott Moe is going to deliver that tripling effect. We're looking at more than 450 new USA nuclear facilities, and largely power generation. Yes, there's a military complex, which we have no authority over. So Canadians, you can take that out of your brains. You have no say, absolutely none whatsoever, on what the allies of World War II decide and are going to do. Now, Scott Moe, whether you like him or not, he stood on the world stage for the last many days, and today he delivered huge. We've got the International Atomic Agency crafted a whole forum today in conjunction with Scott Moe's Saskatchewan pavilion, and he's way down on the tier. They've got real high-class world stages. They're all in blue. Canada got one. Canada's UN state gets one. Anybody else goes into the lowest tier in green, and you can rent a pavilion. Scott Moe planned for well over a year. I've been researching it all week, looking for anything to incriminate Scott Moe. Deep analysis. There's nothing. All he did was constantly work at it for more than a year with mass amounts of private sector businesses and corporations who paid all their own way. The government of Saskatchewan didn't pay. He's delivered on USA, absolutely. It's going to mean massive primary sector investment in Saskatchewan, not by Saskatchewan taxpayers or federal taxpayers, but by foreign investment alone, which is the huge contradiction of Ottawa, Ontario, Quebec, and we can go on and on all the way to Alberta, who's only announced public investment by absolutely Alberta taxpayers. That's nothing to brag about. Going into debt or taking away from taxpayers' coffers to fund GDP, government GDP, is no hero cookie. That's embarrassing, and that should alarm all Canadians from Ottawa to Alberta, federally, provincially. Absolutely embarrassing. There's only one person in all of Canada, and it's Scott Moe. Whether you like him or not, I know I got NDP people telling me he's just lucky. He's not lucky. He worked at it for over a year. This wasn't his just a quick slap it together thing. He organized mass amounts of companies. He reached out to foreign ambassadors and foreign relations, real foreign relations, which should have been Ottawa's job. But of course they didn't. Danielle Smith blew a bunch of Alberta taxpayer money, show up there, blah, 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 in the Blue Room with absolutely no foreign audience, none whatsoever, securing no foreign investment, none whatsoever, in Alberta on anything, just announcing more taxpayer funding. Now, I want to get into Henry Kissinger and what's wrong with Canada. There was a country called Nazi Germany that in 1933 redesigned itself in absolutely the image of Canada's constitutional monarchy, in an absolute design of the Canadian constitutional acts. In fact, the Indian Act was the 1933 Enabling Act against the Jews. Now, people speaking out about Henry Kissinger, sharing Rumble with me, and you don't know what you're talking about. I can myth bust every single publication and video you guys are all sharing. And I'm not mad at people. I'm just disappointed that your source of news is unreliable authors with absolutely not a shred of evidence or any provable facts into what they're talking about. And I'm going to give you a straight about Henry Kissinger, who, yes, was assigned a post post-World War II in Nazi Germany, along with more than 6,000 other American troops and civil government employees, to dismember and redesign Germany, East and West Germany, denazify Germany. It's not a conspiracy, folks. It's a fact. And Henry Kissinger is just one of thousands of Americans assigned a post in a community, a town, a place, not a divine dictator. An absolute dismemberment and redesign of a twisted, crazy constitutional monarchy that had to be absolutely destroyed. Oh, by the way, they also did this to Japan too. Did you know that all the Germans sentenced to death, there was twice as many Japanese and twice as many American civics and civil persons assigned, largely from the military, to dismember and redesign that crazy, nutty constitutional monarchy? Thousands and thousands of Americans. Henry Kissinger and a secret conspiracy? He was in a job, as were multiple thousands of American troops who, after the war, had jobs of dismembering and redesigning Axis power constitutional monarchies built exactly, and I quote, exactly like the country of Canada is today. Now, people, you want to grab on to the Axis powers of World War II and paint Americans and Russians as enemies? You would be living, or not living, you would have been murdered in a concentration camp. Most of you voted not human beings if Nazi Germany and Japan had won. If American Russia didn't physically dismember Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan and create the republics of Germany today and the Republic of Japan today, you would have nutty, crazy countries just like most of the nutty constitutional monarchies still alive and well today. Canada and two others are still absolutely designed entirely because two of them, and in fact Canada's number one, was designed first by the former British Empire. An illegal, sick design. America and the former Soviet Union, Russian Federation today, have spent billions and billions of dollars transitioning countries all over the world who create nutty dictators because of the exact same design that is Canada. So for all of you who don't get it, that's called the Allies of World War II. Scott Moe ordered his entire legislature to wear white ribbons, equality of the person. You want to know what Henry Kissinger was doing in that town, in that area, staged in that place of residence at that salary in 1946? Dismembering a small portion of Germany as were 6,000 other American troops hired to do that job at people with higher education. He was an accountant. He had skills. He understood and could read law. They were dismembering Nazi Germany. That's what they were doing. Not just him, more than 6,000 other Americans. And the Soviet Union was doing the other side of Germany. It was divided in half. East and West Berlin. Russia, USA. Again, this has happened all over the world. 84 other nutty, crazy, genocidal maniac countries that didn't have equality of the person. In fact, they had subjects. They had class subjects and a defined savage people who had to be genocided. They also did this again in most recent history with South Africa in apartheid. Henry Kissinger's there too. Ooh, big conspiracy. Again, hundreds of Americans, hundreds of Russians, hundreds of many of the 5 allies of World War II. That is their job. That's what they do. You want to read a sick, twisted preamble in the world today? Read Canada's preliminary, which is a preamble, and how you, the Canadian subjects, aren't there. A divine elite in a far-off land is, and you will be determined and designed off of that idea of a nation that doesn't even exist anymore, empowering your Canadian politicians to be like Nazi Germany was, Imperial Japan was, like South Africa was, all designed absolutely off of the British Empire's colonial design. Canada won, 1867. Indian Act, 1876. All those psycho countries that people like Henry Kissinger and more than 6,000 other Americans were stationed around the world to dismember from crazy nutcase countries that said it's good to have a first, second, and third class, and it's okay to genocide a peoples if we define them as savages. Wake up, folks. Stop reading Rumble. Stop subscribing to anti-Americans and actual psycho-socialist fascists. Because you're not doing anybody a favor sharing this stuff with me like, boy, I didn't know any of this stuff. I know all about it. I'm on the world stage. I'm all over in all the countries of the world, all of them. And I'm going to tell you, Canadians, you know a hell of a lot less than mostly everybody else in the world. I'm sorry, but that comes from the institutionalization of Canada. And I do get sick of it. Moving needles is moving needles, but at some point I have to decide with what years I have left in life, how much fight do I have in me for a country that is sick, disturbed, wrong, radical, and crazy. Left to right, it's nutty. And you all love slavery. You love the pyramid scheme. You subscribe to it, so many of you, and you try to argue with me and share crud and crap. And that's what it is, and I'm sorry. But what I'm doing here is not on Rumble. I will never, ever, ever put anything I do on Rumble or subscribe to it or subscribe to any lunatics from the far reaches of the right or the far reaches of the left and everybody in between. I am sorry you were never educated on international binding law. I'm sorry that the idea of the equality of person escapes so many Canadians. I'm sorry that you believe that class structure, first, second, third class, is a beautiful thing, and having a defined savage set of peoples is a beautiful thing. It's not. It's not. Read Germany's constitution before Henry Kissinger at a low level, and all the other 6,000 American military personnel staged throughout Germany in so many communities, towns, and cities to dismember and redesign it into the we, the people republic it is today. Equality of the person, human rights, that all Germans are Germany. That would be great if all Canadians were Canada, but we're not. One class of divine elites that we elect or appointed are Canada. The rest of us are not citizens. We're subject to, slaves of that class, subject to taxation without representation, subject to no binding human rights, that the world binds and law and says, you must comply. And Canada goes, fuck you. UK, help us. We need your veto. Help, help, help. And they do. But I promise you it's not a matter of if, but when. And maybe it won't be in my lifetime. Maybe too many of you are too far gone. Like a lot of the UK countries that represent the 5 nations of the UK. Maybe you're like Ireland and Scotland, where there's only a handful of our voices out there trying to fight for the people of Canada. But the people of Canada love their chains. They love their beatings. They love the sexual assaults. And that's figuratively, but sometimes it's literally, of your politicians. Maybe you all like it, like the victim you are. Maybe you like that, and I won't be able to break it in my lifetime. I don't know. I'm going to try. But the reality is, so many of you are so gone. And why you follow me, why you argue with cockamamie crap, and aha, I got a publication. You don't even know what you're talking about because you never got educated by the world binding powers and authority, because it's barred in Canada. You have to actually leave Canada's academic community. That means all of our universities behind, and go to everybody else's university. And you know the best place to start? You'll never believe it. The United States of America. Even at their youngest level, their earliest stages, children are taught mighty civics, and at least they're taught their country's authority, what it means to be American, what you need to hold dear as an equal citizen, not a filthy, low, degenerate subject slave of a divine elite. That's gross and wrong. By the way, God is right there in the opening preamble of the German Constitution. Boy, Henry Kissinger sure screwed up there, didn't he? Along with the other 6,000 Americans, right? Where did they get that idea? Where did the Russians get that idea from? Oh, geez, read the opening line of the Russian Constitution. Guess what? From motherland to fatherland. That's all they changed between communism and the People's Republic of today. Folks, not everything is Canada's way in the world. In fact, it's not even close. Canada is a small minority protected by a veto of one of the allies that should have never had it. Read King George VI. He was in the middle of dismembering Canada the nice way. And unfortunately he died, and his shitbag mother, Queen Elizabeth II, garbage, a lowlife, a degenerate, wiped it all away. Her son Charles is another piece of shit. I probably should have put 18 plus in this. But Canadians love it. They welcome it. Everybody's got a dream. Little girls and little boys. I'm going to be a prince. I'm going to be a king. I'm going to be a princess. I'm going to be royal. And then you find out the reality that you're subject, and you will waste your life away fighting just to give your kids the scraps of promises of a better life that never materializes as we watch this country go down the toilet. Why? Because it doesn't belong to us. A lot of you got to wake up out there, and a lot of people follow me because, to me, why do I make these videos? Nobody really hears me. Only a very, very small percentage, because the horse blinders are on. No, 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 I won't believe it. It's not true. Go follow somebody else, because I don't need you. I don't want you. And it's what are you with me for if you're not with the truth? What are you with me for? Because I'll always be an ally of World War II. And I'm not talking about my loyalist friends and followers. These are a lot of people that follow me, but for their own ends and means. And they battle me on things, and then they try to watch a 2-hour garbage video from some garbage asshole who doesn't even let the person they're authoring about speak. And Canadians can get so bamboozled. When you see somebody's lips moving on a video, and over they're doing all these cuts and takes of an individual, but not once do you actually hear what the individual is saying. But you got an author of a professional video telling Canadians that this is what was said and this is what it was doing, and I read this quote out of this book from this book, and it's like, none of those are accurate. Nothing said came out of that man's mouth. You never let the man speak because you don't have any videos you can cut to prove what you're saying, because they don't exist. So you make it up. And Canadians love fiction. Your fiction sections in a Canadian library are 99%, and there's only 1% of the non-fiction section. Your history sections in a vast library, any town I go in Canada, anywhere, any province, the vast amount is is all fiction. And then there's a small non-fiction section, and an even smaller one shelf out of literally thousands of shelves on history. Wow, this is all we know about the world? This is all we know about international law? I know Canada's garbage. I fight every day as hard as I can. But it gets overwhelming when people share. Don't send me Rumble. I don't want your Rumble. I won't subscribe to Rumble. I won't subscribe to Canadians on Rumble. And I won't bring Rumble Canadians with me. Because it's pathetic, it's sick, and I'm not going to be an Access power. I'm never going to celebrate the Canadian crown in any narrative. And I'm never ever going to rewrite history to what Canadians think they want it to be. Sorry, that's not me. If that's you, and that's what you want, great. There's a party for you out there. There's lots of crown parties. Go with Pierre Poilievre. Go with Justin Trudeau. Go with Jagmeet Singh, and on and on. Go through all the provincial parties. Keep your crown tight. Find the one that best serves your nutty fiction, because I don't want any of those nutty fictions. And I am at least happy today at what Scott Moe has done, the only Canadian politician presenting the white ribbon. That shows a massive fundamental understanding of USA and world international binding law and history. It was well done on equality of the person. Something entirely missing from the Executive Act of Saskatchewan and Alberta. It's something missing from the Canadian Constitutional Acts of Canada entirely. But at least Scott Moe paid tribute to it, and it shows that at least he's looking forward, momentum and motion. A big message for all Treaty Indians in Saskatchewan, northern Saskatchewan, for Treaty 8 overlap into those mining areas. Treaty Indians, go to USA now that this is coming through with Saskatchewan. Forgo the Indian Act 1876. Go to Scott Moe. Go to the United States Congress and Senate. The executive of the United States, which is Joe Biden today, reach out to Donald Trump and his many affiliates as he could be president this year coming. Reach out to them as the American Indian citizen narrative. Freedom for First Peoples. A lot of people reaching out to me in First Peoples on that. That's my advice to you. Don't go forward with the Indian Act. Highlight the Indian Act. Highlight the ability to be something better. The American Indian citizen and this nuclear deal with Saskatchewan. Looks like Scott Moe might be ready. Bring up the white ribbon, not white paper, white ribbon. Look at what that means. 1960 to 1975. The creation of the American Indian citizen the absolute settlement of the claims for all American Indians. They have a tremendous more amount of land than all First Peoples, all Métis, all Inuit, and all Canadians by 133%. 6.5 million versus over 40 million Canadians and all First Peoples. First Peoples are on 0.2% of Canada. That's the Treaty Indians. Go forward with that narrative. Use this stepping stone. Bring the white ribbon. Bring the American Indian Citizen platform forward. State you want that. That's my advice. I'd even help leaders, First People leaders in that. But I'm not going to share fictions. I'm not going to participate in absolute lies. I'm not going to participate in Rumble. I'm never going to be on Rumble. Anyone following me, friends, followers, you won't find me on Rumble. Not now, not ever. I am sick to death of the non-fiction or the fiction section of Canada's academia and absolutely all of our libraries. It's a great disservice to all Canadians. But again, that's the idea of being a subject, and that's what you like, a lot of you. And it's not going to ever be me or anything I'm narrating, and you'll never catch me on that stage. That's my video. Get it out there. Share, share, share. You want to get involved? That's where we're going forward as an ally of World War II and nothing but. That's our international narrative. Bye now.